Nigeria launches first national sex offenders register. Nigeria launched its first national sexual offenders register yesterday, Monday, as part of efforts by the Nigerian government with support from the European Union in a project implemented by the British Council to help track sexual offenses in Nigeria. The sexual offender register will contain the names of all those prosecuted for sexual violence in Nigeria since the year 2015. The register, which is domiciled with the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, will have its details on a website where people all over the world can reach it to better help the public, state bodies, and the police conduct background checks and identify repeat offenders. Suspects who are cleared will also be recorded in a part of the register only available to law enforcement agencies. An initial group of 15 NGOs will monitor the police and media reports across Nigeria and update the register on a monthly basis. According to UNICEF, 1 in 4 Nigerian women are sexually abused before they turn 18, and the majority of cases of sexual abuse in the country are not prosecuted. Currently, only 2 Nigerian states out of the 36 states of the Federation, which is Lagos and Ekiti State, keep a database of those convicted of sexual offenses. Even though Section 14 of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act of 2015 provides for the creation of a register for convicted sexual offenders, which shall be accessible to the public. So far, only 2 states have abided by that. All right, Prince Chilaka.
Well, I'm happy. Yes.
I know you will be happy because this is what you talk about.
This is something we'll be talking about. But then, it's one thing, like I keep saying, it's one thing to tell us that it's going to be done. It's another thing for it to be done. It brings me back to what I keep saying. No matter what we do with this, so long as we do not have a database to work with, it will end up being paperwork. And paperwork cannot be held accountable for anything. Government has tried, to say, okay, I think the government has decided to follow what Ekiti State is doing, to say, let us go national. But the government needs to do more. There has to be a complete biometrics of Nigerians. And it has to be linked in such a way that if somebody goes to Osun State and commits a crime, he's arrested in Lagos, they don't need to start looking for paper to just input the person's biometrics and the thing will appear. This is what I am asking government to do. It's a good step government is taking, but government must also go another step further, because each time we talk about the abuse, we focus on the girl child. There are more boys being abused today as we talk. So government should go further, enter into proper alliance with NGOs. There are a lot of NGOs working in this direction. Bring them on board. Saying 15 cannot cover the whole country. Bring more people on board. Make information accessible to people. And make the procedure of, convicting people who are found guilty or who have been charged or arrested, make it simple. Don't make it too cumbersome and tedious and people will even run away. And finally, we need to, as Nigerians, remove one word from our dictionary. Which is? Stigmatization. Okay. It is one thing that has stopped a lot of people from coming out. Exactly. We need to remove that word so that people can come out and say, I was abused. And this is how it happened. Not keeping it for 20 years, 30 years, and Nigeria has not gotten to that point where you begin to do a forensic analysis and all of that. No, but it's a good initiative by government. I support it any day, and I know that my foundation will support this. We will start the campaign for them. All right, Mazio Bioha.
I think I share the same view with Prince. Okay. But to go further, I think we need a proper database. Just like we talked about driver's license. The same when a driver is convicted of an offense, his driver's license should be impounded. Withdrawn, yes. But even at that, so many drivers have been convicted, charging whatever, but there has not been any sanction on the driver. So let us see, Prince talked about implementation. Talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. It's one thing for the government to bring a good idea. it's another thing for them to see it, for us, from our side, to see it being implemented, not bringing out something that will make us laugh and sleep over it. At the end of it, we will not see it implemented. And again, our laws should be reviewed, because it is difficult for you now for a person who has been abused or raped to be convicted.
Exactly.
That is, they will say, ask you. There was somebody that sent me something on the WhatsApp. How if this thing, the rape issue, were to be in Ungwaland, they will ask you, how did it happen? And when do you do this? How do you stay? Blah, 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 blah. Our laws should be reviewed to make sure that, one, you are accused, not falsely accused, just like what happened to that Koza. The Koza issue is not different. And the court has now dismissed and awarded this 1 million naira. So our laws should be reviewed to make sure that the girls or whosoever that is abused is protected.
Exactly.
And the speedy judgment passed. Not 20 years, not 30 years.
After. Okay, Mr. Shopito.
We even saw this in the Bible, where a woman was said to have been caught in the act. And who was with her?
A man,
the man
that was
not,
never named.
The man was never seen.
Such is the injustice women have to live with. Go ahead. I'm just trying to buttress your point. Go ahead.
So it
takes two to tango.
It takes two to tango all the time. All right, go ahead.
It's a good thing that we are going to have this register. I know that it started it already. Let us hope it will be a beginning, at least, that these people will be stigmatized. People who can't control
the offenders,
their libido. And so that, well, it's a good beginning. So let us hope that the government will go further and ensure that the implementation goes all through
across board.
Yeah. My worry is that they say it will be kept. Is it with the police?
No, with napkin.
Okay.
Napkin.
Let them not give it to police. Let them not give it to police.
So
let me just add this. You know, I would say this with all sense of responsibility. This is why the girl child in Nigeria, I would always say, is an endangered species.
Very, very.
A boy sleeps with a girl, and the girl gets pregnant. The girl gets thrown out of school.
The boy continues.
This is totally unacceptable. I hope that this new initiative will help to balance the situation. You know, there is no need to chase a girl who gets pregnant out of school. We must create a situation where the girl is, you know, cancelled and rehabilitated and allowed to finish her school, just as you allow the boy to finish school.
All right. Now, what Nigerians should actually
if she should be expelled from school, both the he and the she should be expelled.
Okay. Now, what Nigerians should know about this sexual offenders register is that convicted rapists, you know, who are named in the sex offenders register will find it almost impossible, in fact impossible, to get jobs outside of Nigeria or even travel abroad. Once your name is there, you will not be able to go to school or travel freely abroad. Employers of labor can also go to this register to find out if your name, you know, is in that register, if you're a sex offender or not. And it's supposed to be a naming and shaming register. So I hope this sends a strong message out there to those who engage in such acts. And then I just want to put this out there. Yesterday, the 25th of November, was actually the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. And currently in Nigeria, there's 16 days of activism, you know, in that regard, starting from yesterday all the way till I think the 10th or the 11th of December. 16 days, okay, for you to do something about violence against women. And once again, just to put this out there, if someone comes to you and tells you they've been raped, it's not for you to judge whether or not it's true or it's a lie. You as an individual, what you're supposed to do is listen to what the person has to say, believe the person and support. That is the only thing you need to do, okay? Let the law decide. Exactly.
It's important we also point this out. People should not become vindictive. Because it has happened severally where nothing happens and somebody will claim something has happened. You know, so people must also realize that there's an onus of responsibility on them to say the truth. You know, so that, and I think the law should also allow that if it is found that you're lying, you should also be shamed and your name published as well.
Okay.